Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode.
Need help creating the online business you've been dreaming about? Well, it's a good thing you're here because that's exactly what we're going to help you with. Hi, I'm Sarah Jansel, a friend and colleague of Sylvie's. I have over 20 years helping build and grow businesses, and today I help people do that on Shopify. If you want to build an online store, redesign one you have, set up email marketing, or just need some coaching or custom work, we can help you with that. Our goal is to help you sell more of the amazing products and services that you want to share with the world. I believe the world would be a better place if more people could build awesome businesses they love. So to help you get started with yours, today you're going to save $150 off a new store or a redesigned store. It's available for a limited time only, and all you have to do to take advantage of this is pop over to www.janselandco.com/services. That's JANSELAND.co/services. And let us know you heard this amazing podcast to get your quote and $150 off today.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, All Things Cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie Dawson, here in Chelsea, Quebec, Canada. And we have Simon de Burgh. You said like Simon. You remind me of the singer. Christopher. I'm sure people give that to you. I was like, oh, that's like Christopher. So he's a cycling coach in the UK. Where specifically are you?
I'm based in the southwest of England, so down in North Devon.
Now, North Devon. Okay. I was trying to find the exact location, but I couldn't. So he is here. I've asked him, I found him on my Instagram, like everyone else. And I've asked him to come on my podcast because he is actually one of the few cycling coaches that I've had on here. And so a little bit about Simon before we bring him out. Simon, and I got, you can find him on Instagram and Facebook. Simon helps cyclists hitting 40 plus to train effectively so they can cycle hills faster. Everybody just wants to get faster on the hills, right? Look and feel thinner on the bike and maintain a high level of cycling fitness. So he is a qualified, experienced, evidence-based coach that with an aim to inform older cyclists how to train efficiently so they can climb hills faster. That's funny because I have everybody's like, how do I get faster on the hills? Well, where do you want to start? So I'm super excited to have Simon here. I'm a cycling coach as well, and it's always good to talk cycling coaching with our fellow peers. So welcome to the podcast, Simon.
Hey, thanks.
So first question of the day or the podcast is always, how did you get into cycling and how did it bring you to share your passion of cycling to becoming a coach and helping others?
So look, I'm 51 now, so I've had a fair bit of a history.
So am I. Okay, when's your birthday?
17th of December.
Oh, January 3rd. We're very close. Oh my God, that's so funny. You're not quite a Capricorn, but...
No, I'm Sagittarius, so I'm all in or not.
Yeah.
Apparently. And it is true. I am all in or not at all, not interested. So how did I get in cycling? So as a kid, there's 6 kids of us, and we grew up in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, all right? And the only way, so this is like a precursor to me getting into cycling, but the only way for us to see our friends, because they lived 5 miles away, was to get on a bike and go and see them. So our folks bought us all really basic bikes, and we used to cycle miles on them, especially in the summer holidays. And I kind of found the joy from that. And then when I left school, etc., I didn't really hit the bike again for a while. I moved to London. I started as a personal trainer, and I worked in London for 10 years, helping people do marathons, triathlons, lose weight loss populations. And then I started doing marathons and triathlons. And off the back of that, I started riding the bike a lot, because it was the one aspect of triathlon I really loved.
I love it. Me too. For the two triathlons that I ever tried. So I can say I tried. I did too.
So I mean, I love triathlon. The issue is that my Achilles got very tight, and after a while, I kept on breaking down. So I decided to stop triathlon and stick with the bike, because it was the one thing I could do and never get hurt. So I thought, well, do you know what, that's what I'm going to focus on. That's how I'm going to enjoy my sport, and stay active. And from there, I run another company, which is online for training triathletes and Ironmen. But from there, I decided to set up Velo, because one of my athletes turned around to me and said, "You're still really strong on a bike, and you should tell people how to do that." So I was like, okay. So I sat down and thought about it and developed the thought process of building Velo performance, and also, just making the bike the thing that I do. So people, when they, see me online and things like that, they go, okay, this guy rides a bike, and I've, that's how I got started, and that's where I've got up to right now.
So how long have you been like an official, so do you do more cycling with help in triathlon? So what exactly are you doing now as a coach?
So I run
Specific.
two companies. I run
Okay.
Triforce Endurance, and Triforce Endurance has been running for 10 years online.
Okay.
And Velo's been running for 3 years. So the main focus for me at the moment is the Ironman triathlon, but Velo's grown very quickly. So that's becoming quite a predominant part of what I do. But my experience is, everything I've studied is to do with long distance, triathlon, Ironman, cycling, and evidence-based nutrition. So, well, as much as I can coach people along that broad range through swim, bike, and run, I also really focus in on making sure that, and this is the thing I wanted to do, because at the age of 51, I wanted to know that what I'm doing in training works. I'm not spending lots of time doing fruitless, silly things.
Yeah.
And I want to look good, I want to be 50, 60, 70 and still be able to run, jump, lift, pull, push, ride a bike hard. Nothing gives me more excitement than to go out with the guys and for them to go, how are you still able to do that? And it's like, well, I train right. And so, I'm a bit advocate of strength training, as you know. I look at my nutrition and my diet, and it's just, so that's how I got into it, really. And that's why I love it, is because it's like, well, people look at what you can do on a bike and they go, I want to be able to do that at your age. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, I love it. And my big thing now, I think over the last 4 or 5, 6 years, I got into doing long distance stuff, because I did road races, but I always thought that it was it's way too dangerous for the reward. I did pretty well on a couple of road races, but I also did really badly. And I thought, I've taken enough skin off to decide that this isn't for me. So I decided to go and just aim for doing longer distance stuff. So I ride like 200-mile races and do silly self challenges and stuff.
Okay. So you're kind of in the same lines as my thought process, like the way I'm kind of looking at where I am as a 51-year-old woman. It's like I want to make sure I'm looking good, feeling good, and I have female mentors that I look up to who are 65 and they're just like crushing it on the bike, and I'm like I just want to be like them when they're that age and older. And how do you do that? You keep up your nutrition, your eating, your fitness, mental health, community, at this age. And I used to race too, and I stopped in 2013. Sorry, 13? Gosh, it's been so long. But you know, and I was like, I'd like to get back to racing, but as a cycling racing, like you remember the pain of the training and the events, like they're very hard, like they're very hard and taxing. And if you want to be good, you've got to be doing it all the time. Um, and I'm like, so what can I do now that's going to give me the same kind of reward that I felt as a cyclist? And I too am looking at endurance, but I haven't hit the 200 mile mark yet. But I am looking at it, and so yeah, it's like and now I'm like, how do I build up my endurance over the next couple of years so that I can do that without like breaking myself apart,
Yeah.
like wrecking myself. So
Yeah,
so
that's the
yeah,
thing.
so talk about that.
So I think because I think one of the things cyclists are really sort of keen to do is ride their first 100, right? It's a
Yeah.
big
Mhm.
mile. And I remember when I actually got back on the bike again, maybe about 15, 16 years ago, riding 50 miles, thinking that's a long way, and then building my fitness up to be able to ride longer, 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 and then thinking 100 is kind of where that's you prep for it, and you think I'm riding 100 miles tomorrow, and then it wasn't until 8 years ago where I wanted to do some charity stuff, and I said to a friend of mine, I'm going to ride 100 miles every day for 10 days for charity. I'll go to Mallorca because it's nice out there, and I'll probably get lots of weather.
Yeah, okay. Where am I going to do this, first of all? It's
Yeah.
not in my backyard. I don't want to
So
bike when it's raining.
yeah, I don't want to do that. So I was what, mid 40s then, and they were like, "Really, you're going to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I'm going to give it a try at least. I don't know what it'll feel like." And I'd ridden, I've ridden 100 miles, and I've done plenty of training, so I knew I had the ability to do it. It was just like, what's the mental and the
Yeah.
physical aspect of having to do that every day? And it surprised me that actually, going through the experience, it was actually very doable in the fact that as long as you approached it in a very methodical way, that you can get these miles out. The trick is to not go too hard.
Mm,
This is where people make the mistake. And is to eat, hydrate well while you're doing it,
hmm.
and then to eat and hydrate like an absolute pro after you've done it, so you know that you're getting back on the bike in the best condition you possibly can do. So it was
Yeah.
about management of the process rather than actually doing the thing,
Uh-huh.
riding 100 miles a day. From there, I remember walking away from that going, well, I don't feel broken, and I can walk properly every day after I've done that.
That's important. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's like, okay, so I know I'm quite fit, and I know I'm obviously robust enough. And it was like, well, I remember as a coach and also as a cyclist, I was thinking, well, why am I in that condition? So, so loads of people are saying, you're 46, you're too old to be doing silly stuff like this now, which I think maybe we can talk.
46. Oh my God.
I know, it's just like, what? Um,
Yeah,
but actually,
exactly.
I walked away from that thinking that was is type 2 fun at the time, but at the end of it, I was thinking to myself, this is actually something that I really enjoy, and enjoy the aspect of doing something that you think you can't do, but then doing it, uh,
Hmm.
because you've done all the groundwork underneath, and you know that you're pretty robust. and
Yeah.
also kind of like the mental side of getting on a bike every day and riding at 100 miles every day, um, and that sort of like that thought process that it doesn't matter what happens, I've got to do this because people have sponsored me a lot of money.
Yeah. There's no backing out now. Well, that's
No,
probably the best way to go about doing it.
yeah. So I think from there I realized actually what I was doing in training. So the mundane stuff that people go, oh, this is really boring. You
Hmm.
know, doing the hard sessions on the bike, hitting the gym on a regular basis, and just ticking that off had created this foundation to be able to springboard and go and do bigger, more serious miles. And I was like, okay, but this is where I want to go. So I go to Mallorca every year to run a triathlon camp with Triforce. So we run that with the other coaches that we're all part of a team. And uh, I thought, well, I'm going to ride around the island next time. So it's about 200 miles around the island. It's about 198 miles.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and my the people that I were with were saying, I bet you can't do it in under 12 hours.
So- well then.
I'm like, well, yeah, okay, right. I'll give it a try. And actually, I missed it by about 30 minutes. I didn't do it.
What do you
Um,
mean?
it's
13
pretty,
minutes?
but yeah, 30
Like you
minutes.
gave yourself a cutoff or you decide to stop?
Um, I didn't stop. I finished it, but I was late by their timekeeping. They were like,
Oh, okay, okay. I
you know,
don't think
yeah.
that even counts.
So I finished it. So I walked away from that and said, okay, I've never done something of that nature before. And I was like, okay, you know, what do I need to do to change that? But actually, that intrigued me. I was like, well, can I, as I get older, get fitter and faster on my bike? Is that something that I can do? So, and I think this is, as a coach, and you'll understand this massively, as you get older, you look at what you can do as a physical being, because I don't know about you. A lot of people will tell you as you get older, you can't, you shouldn't, you need to slow down. You're crazy. What are you thinking of? All that sort of stuff. And I hear it a lot. I'm like,
Really? I think you're
yeah,
hanging
yeah.
out with the wrong people, Simon.
Yeah, I am totally hanging out with the wrong crowd. But the thing is, I don't listen to them. I just crack on and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I've got a cool bunch of friends who go, do it. Go on. You've got the ability to do this. Show them that it's possible.
Yeah.
So I've just been working on that. So two years ago, in the southwest, we have 5 sportives, which are some of the hilliest sportives in the country. So they're about 100 and 110 miles, and each one of those has over 11,000 feet of climbing in it.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I'm going to do another charity event, and I'm going to ride one every day back to back. So yeah, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. But I'm also going to give myself a time cut off, so I had to do it in 6 hours. Each one I had to do in
Oh
6
my
hours.
God. That's hard because what if you hit something that's way more, that's going to take you more time? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, because you don't know the route really. And if you give yourself that kind of cutoff, what if, or you have like 3 mechanicals and they take you like an hour and a half in total to deal with, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay. So riding time 6 hours. Yeah. Right.
I
Yeah.
think you should
Let's
just
do it.
finish it in the day. That's too much pressure, I think.
I know, but it was like I'll give that a crack. To be honest, most of them I was hitting between 6 and 6:30. But in my mind, I was like, look, try and hit them at 6. Try and hit them at 6.
Yeah.
And I also was like, actually, if I finish them quite quickly, I can get home and have dinner.
Okay, that there is way more motivation than the cutoff time. Is
Yeah, totally.
the like I have to get home to do something. And I did a race like that. I had to do 40K and I'm like, I have to get because I was meeting my daughter afterwards to do something. I'm like, I was just like, bah, and I think I went the fastest consistently for like almost like it took me under 2 hours and I just didn't stop because I'm like, I have to get home to my car and make it back. And like, I had this time, but I was like, I just got to do it. And honestly, that really worked. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
looking at the time because I didn't have the time in front of me, but I'm just like, I just can't stop pedaling. I just can't stop pedaling. and I made it.
So
Like I came
I,
first.
I think there's a big thing about that. So sometimes we focus so much on what we're doing, as in sort of creating
Hmm.
that such a mountain in our head that actually, and I always say to people, maybe I'm a little bit dim, a little bit stupid, because once I start these things, it's just like nothing really matters about except for riding the bike. I'm not.
Right.
I have an understanding of what I want to do in heart rate, power, all that sort of stuff. But actually, it's just an essential about eat, drink, ride the bike. That's
Yeah.
what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it's like if things come, I regularly say to myself, if things happen along the way, deal with it and move on. Don't let that be the thing that causes you to slow down, stop, all
Right.
those sort of things. So
Yeah.
it is a strange mindset, but I think it's a valuable one. So I'm coaching a guy who's just about to go all the way around, like a dog's leg, all the way around the UK, and he's running about 160 miles every day, and he's doing it for charity. And we've had this conversation loads about that mindset of just doing,
Yeah.
and we, both think the same thing. It's like just
Hmm.
need to switch off from filter out all that nonsense, all
Yeah.
that stuff that causes you problems, and just focus in what you need to focus on right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think by doing that has made a massive difference for me being able to help coach my long distance cyclists and athletes, because I think everyone gets bogged down in data and
Yeah.
timing, all that stuff, and it is good to know, but I sense sometimes that can pull you back.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah, I love it. I love the long distance stuff because again, it just allows you to sort of just do you for a bit.
Yeah.
And so this year I've done 200s. I went back to Mallorca this year for training camp, and this time I decided that I'd go around again solo, and I was going to get it in as close to 11 hours as possible. So I hit it in 11 hours and 11 minutes,
Uh,
which is
I
I was
hope you
like,
weren't too hard on yourself for those extra 11 minutes. It's like
yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have taken that pee break.
There are some things when you do a solo thing and self-supported that you think, yeah, I can't go any quicker than that.
Yeah, it's just that. So I have, so I'm going the same route as you. As I'm looking at the distance, and I want to share this little story with you because maybe you can give me some advice. So the last 2 years, I've been building up my endurance to like 100 Ks every weekend, like, getting them consistent, like once a month, then twice a month. And this year I was almost doing it every weekend, like on Swift. And it was just like, I'm just going out for 100K. Like, I don't care what I'm riding on. Wait, like people are like, that's so boring. I go, no, I've got all my stuff set up. Like, I'm just going out there for 100K and I'm just going to do it. But I think I got more ambitious to my goals to start doing these long endurance events, that I went and did a charity ride. And I'm like, okay, this is the first back to back. I did 150K, then 116K. And on Monday, I was like so exhausted. And then I had planned to do 150K in 2 weeks, another event. And I had to pull out. I was still fatigued.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was fatigued. I didn't feel like myself for the first 3 days. Like I was like zombie. And
Okay.
so I think that for me, I need more base building in order to do that effectively and be able to do multiple events in 1 month. I think there's more training to be done just so my body gets used to it. But have you come across being like that when you started? Because it seems like you're ahead of me. Like you started this about 5, 6 years ago. So you've been building,
Yeah.
building, building. So where you go out and it's like it feels like second nature. You just go out on your bike, you just ride, and it doesn't affect your body as much, anymore, you
Mhm.
know?
So
Have you come across that in your cycles, like in your years of
yeah,
building?
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, when I do the back-to-back stuff,
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be tired, and the latent fatigue from that the week afterwards is quite big.
Yeah.
You just need to look at training peaks and the training stress score and your form and balance and stuff. You're looking at, yeah, I'm tired. But how do you overcome that? I think ultimately, yes, there is a certain amount of volume you have to do in your training, and not knowing what you do in your training is tough to advise. But
Yeah.
I think the one thing that's, and it sounds counterintuitive, the one thing is I tend to do like a 3 week rotation where I sort of build in volume, but
Mm,
I have some staple training sessions that I do, which is pure strength training in the gym a couple
yeah.
times a week, hill reps on the bike, that is a absolute staple, whether it's 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and they're progressive depending on what I'm trying to focus on and where I'm aiming with my bike. And it's have that quality within the training, and then set yourself little targets. So not doing big miles every weekend, because that's quite fatiguing in itself.
Yeah.
Potentially what I would do is I would target a couple of weekends and go, right, okay, I'm going to do back to
Yeah.
back, or I'm going to do one very long ride at the end of a block. And
Right.
that'll allow you, it takes longer to get to that fitness and that ability, but that'll allow you to not get into that stage where you feel super fatigued. Because potentially
Yeah.
you're carrying a lot of fatigue, in my mind, potentially carrying a lot of fatigue from the rides the weekends before and the weekend before that,
Yeah.
going into your back-to-back rides. So yeah, it's a tough one to answer, not knowing the full history,
Well,
but
yeah.
generally, well, that's what I do with my long rides, and I do ride longish now most of the time. But if I'm going to go and do, I don't know, a couple of hundreds back to back, I wouldn't do 100 the weekend before. I
Yeah.
would I'd probably back it off fractionally on the total volume, keep the intensity there, but drop it back off. And that way I know when I'm going into because it's a lot of mileage, 100s,
Yeah.
or you're going 200 miles, it's a lot of mileage straight off. You don't want to go into that with lots of leg fatigue. Um, and then potentially, I always think with the nutrition, it's just the one thing I think athletes and cyclists get wrong is hydration. I say this to all my guys doing Ironman. If you get that,
Speaking of nutrition, hydration.
if you get your hydration wrong, you're instantly going backwards.
Yeah.
Um, and there's not much you can do to recapture that. So it is something that I'm really mindful of when I'm doing these things. And
Mhm.
then it's just about being religious with how you feel that ride, because it's not about just feeling that ride. How you eat on that bike affects your recovery
Mhm.
going into your recovery, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just that practice and learning. And look, let's face it, I've got this wrong. I've got this wrong. I should know
I know
better,
it's trial and error. Like,
and also, even if I know better, sometimes I did it. What did I do the other week? I went out with my mate. He and I are going to Tour de Mont Blanc on Saturday, and we're going to go and race the Tour de Mont Blanc race in France. And we went out and we did a 80-mile bike ride, and I should know better, right? It was warm in the UK, and I had 2 bottles of water on the bike. And when I got home, I was like, "Oh, what have you just done?"
yeah,
And I woke
don't.
up the next day like I'd gone out and had a party.
But doesn't like when I biked in the UK, and I've only biked a couple times, like you literally have water fountains like everywhere. Like
Yeah,
not in
not where I live.
Canada. If you go out, you better have water because you probably will never see a drop of it until you're finished. So
Yeah, no, not where I live. It's because I live in the country in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah, but like
um,
it's these little villages you roll into, and there's like this fountain right in the middle. You just stop and fill up your water. No, is that just France?
that's just France. That's
Oh,
not the
sorry.
anyway, there are shops, and I just made that fundamental silly error, which we can all do from time to time. Shoot me, I'm human. But it did remind me that it's like actually just so important to get that right, and don't do it on event day, because you're going to have a really bad day if you do it that way.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think that's the cool thing about what we do, right? We can, occasionally, and I think that's what's great about you as a coach, and what's great about coaches still doing it is you're doing it. So you can,
Yeah.
even if you know what you're doing, you still sometimes make the mistakes.
I
And
never
it's
make
like,
mistakes, Simon.
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like, let me tell you.
yeah, totally. And I think it's really good. And this is how I coach for my guys. And when they see what I do, and I tell them about mistakes I've done, and we laugh about it. But it's
Yeah.
a good little learning curve for them all. They look at it and go, okay, but he knows what that feels like. It's horrendous.
Don't do what I did.
Yeah, don't do what the coach says, not as he does.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's all on paper here. Just follow this.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's
Don't follow me. But this is the thing. I think this is the thing I love about sport and testing yourself, and it's the whole thing why I like riding the bike and testing myself. And also, I quite like the fact that even at my age and aging going forward, I'm still really focused on having a lot of power on the bike, because I ride out with there's a local bunch of guys that ride out on a Tuesday, and there are lots of different people. So from 18-year-olds right through to like 50s, and they're all very strong riders.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to hang with those guys as much as you possibly can. So my whole focus is having that ability to do that, but still do what I enjoy on the long distance side of things. And I think we're very similar. It's like strength training, power training, and just thinking about your recovery. Really important.
Yeah. And sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep is, honestly, I think if there's anything that needs help work for me is the sleep thing. I'm just like, yeah. And it makes a huge difference.
What have you found? Because I think as I've got older, my insomniac self has got worse sometimes.
Are you going through menopause?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I got menopause. You got menopause.
Yeah. I think we do a little bit. Have you found anything that works particularly well for you?
To get a better night's sleep?
Yeah.
Well, see, I haven't hit full menopause yet. I'm waiting for it to. Maybe I'm in it. I don't know. But what I try to do is stretching before bed. Because I find, and I don't know if it's the same for men, but my legs are very active, like at night. Like I have to, like, I don't know, just massage the muscles down. I have a club, I have a rollers, I have the electrics. Like I've got a bunch of things, and to spend time massaging my legs so they're relaxed when I go to bed. Then I've got earplugs, and my room has to be super dark. And I try not to drink water before, because then I'm up peeing. So there's,
There is that.
Yeah, there's that. So that's what I try to do, and I track my sleep patterns too. So, like how much sleep did I get, which is astonishing because my average is like 6.5 hours. So don't tell Joe, but I know you listen to Joe's. I'm like, oh, dude. So I think about that a lot. Because I also started using, and I don't know if you use this, but my Fitbit has a smart wake alarm on it, which wakes me up as I'm coming out of a sleep pattern, opposed to waking me up in the middle of a sleep pattern when I need to get up. And I found that had a huge effect on me positively. I started it in January. So I'm no longer shocked out of sleep. I now am woken, like it wakes me up, like it vibrates on my arm. So it's like, zzz, zzz. It's like a little shock as I'm coming out of my sleep pattern, but I can feel myself waking up, right? And so that's had a big positive effect. But it's just getting to bed earlier. I'm
I
trying
think
I'm
that
trying to figure it out. Yeah.
I think the wearable technology is definitely a really big beneficial help. Um, yeah, okay. It's like something I tend not to. So I used to have a tracker, but
Mhm.
it died, and I was like, I'm not going to get another one, and I'll be fine. But yeah, I was
You
like,
don't need to know.
yeah, I don't need to. It's like, I just need to go to sleep. But
Yeah.
actually, over time, I've figured out now what I tend to do is I generally switch off from all TVs and social media from a certain point. So I
Yeah.
have a cut off point. And I try not to train too late because that
That's
generally
another one
I
too.
and
Yeah.
I don't tend to do a lot of foam rolling before I go to bed, but I tend to do maybe like 10, 20 minutes reading a book.
Yeah, I do that
Um,
sometimes,
yeah,
yeah.
just to switch off. And that works really
Mhm.
nicely. And also, I set bed and wake times, regardless whether it's weekends or weekdays, exactly the same. And I
So what time
find
do you get to
that
bed?
regular. I aim to get to bed by 10,
Okay, so
and
that's kind of
I'm
the
at the,
same.
yeah, and I get up at about 5. So I naturally wake up now around about 5:30, 5:40
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah.
Um,
We're up
and I
around
find that
6.
works, and I sleep. Yeah, and I sleep pretty soundly, and I feel
Mhm.
energized from doing it that way.
Yeah,
But
you're
yeah,
right. Like,
sleep. I think you're right.
yeah, I don't know about you, but I have some coaching sessions that are in the evening, or I go out for a ride in the evening. That's another thing that you need time to come down off of as well. But here's a question, and I saw this on your Facebook, and it was a question that I'm have been trying to figure out if I'm doing it right. But and this for our listeners, this might be something for you guys to think about too, is strength training and who of our listeners like maybe comment in YouTube or on Instagram page, but do you strength train and in your season? So I wanted to talk to Simon about this because I saw it was one of his last posts on his Facebook page, and I strength train year round. I change it up in the on season, so not as much legs. But my question is the timing of your strength training. Is it is it before or after? Do you have a I believe like everybody's different. Everybody's schedule is different. But what's your take on the strength training for your legs mostly
Um,
in conjunction with your
well,
training?
yeah. So predominantly, I tend to I try to keep my strength training short because obviously I'm doing a lot of cycling,
Mm-hmm.
and I tend to do track bar deadlifts, squats, leg extensions, step ups, things of that nature,
Right.
um, and a couple of push pull exercises. Because if you do a lot of cycling, a lot of long distance cycling, I can guarantee you this: after riding a couple of 100 miles, you will feel your lats and your chest
Yeah.
quite a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
to have strength in those muscles is important. And the more I strength train, the less I ever feel it. Um, so yeah, I generally what I try and do over the winter is build as much strength as I can. So I do pure
Mm-hmm.
strength training where I'm lifting heavy and I'm lifting less repetitions and more sets, but a lot of recovery in between.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I got my deadlift up to about 120 kg this year in over the winter,
Wow.
and it's still holding over the summer at around about 110 kg. The difference is that my total volume of that lift over the summer is slightly less, um, and I'm doing a little bit more reactive strength training. So I will I'll lift heavy and I'll drop the weight down, and I'll lift the weight fast, lift a lighter weight, a much lighter weight, fast off the ground,
Yeah.
just to activate all the muscle units. So I've been doing that. So the volume comes down, the weight still stays the same as much as I possibly can hold on to it, because that's the goal. It's not trying to get any stronger. It's just trying to maintain it over the summer months. So then when I go back into the gym, I haven't lost so much because I've done nothing, that I'm starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
I've held on to as much as I can, and I can get back into the gym and lift it even further. That's the goal. So get back into the gym in the winter and go, right, I was at 110. Where can I get over this winter? So when I go back into the summer, I'm stronger than I was last time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I do it. So it depends on what I'm aiming for. So if I've got a couple of long distance things that I'm doing, or maybe a couple of serious sportifs that I want to take part in, I might do one strength training session a week running up to it. But for the most part, I'm trying to get 2 sessions in a week, because again, as you get older, you lose muscle mass and you lose strength quite quickly. So if you don't hit the gym, then in my mind, and I've noticed it just from performance, if I didn't do that, I would start to get slower. And I'm like, I don't want to be slow. I want to be fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in fact, after this, I'm going straight to the gym.
Good. Because this morning, so why I asked, so I do much shorter, like Tabata style. So 50 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 3 times around. And this morning, Wednesdays are leg days. Like I was mentioning, my last week's leg days, I couldn't walk or sit well for like a day or so. And then I was fine for my Saturday ride. But so I got 1 leg day and 2 upper body and core days. And so it's usually 3, and they're no longer than 20 minutes. So fast and effective is what I aim for. And I find that has, because like you said, like you still work your upper body, your core a whole lot when you're cycling. And it makes a huge difference. I found like my hill climbing, endurance, less fatigue, more power.
Yeah.
So
And I think, if you've got upper body strength, just from a bike perspective, if you can hold on to the handlebars while you're putting power through it, and transfer that power through the upper body, because you're strong enough to do that, especially when you're under pressure, you'll be able to push that power more through the bike. But here's the other thing, that we do this for fun, right? So you want to strength train to look good at the same time, right?
Of course. Of course, it's like the summer.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, this is the thing.
And we're getting older too, in our 50s. This is like, I found the most crucial time to really be focusing on that, because guys, not so much the same, but women, like our skin changes, like the muscle definition, I find like disappears way faster. And that was one thing I noticed. And that's why I'm like,
yeah, maybe, but I think most people just don't look after themselves well enough. And I keep saying this. I don't want to be 80 and not able to get out of a chair. So I'm thinking long term as well as what I can do on a bike. Plus, it's really good to look badass in a t-shirt, right?
I know. Badass, yeah. Badass in a bikini, you got a t-shirt, but I totally agree with you. And you just look younger. I think the biking keeps you young looking. Or maybe it's just this light here.
Yes.
So
I'm not sure about
I
that.
also noticed on your YouTube channel that you went out for your first gravel ride, which I kind of chuckled. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And I was like, I wonder what he thought. Because I too just started, I felt the FOMO of the gravel, the lure of the gravel, because everybody was getting a gravel bike. And I live actually very close to, like, all the road is over here, all the gravel is up there, like, and I'm not very far from it. And so I was saying, you know what? I've ridden all these roads so many times. It's so nice to see something different, but be able to bounce back to my road like one weekend, gravel the next. So, and it is totally different, as I'm sure you felt.
It is. So I was out in Girona, and I have some friends who run a cycling camp and a beautiful old farmhouse. And I said, look, come out for a week, and we'll ride bikes, and we'll go up to Andorra and ride bikes from there. And Ed, who's a great chap, who's like, we're going to get you to do some gravel. And I was like, oh, I'm a road cyclist, I don't do gravel. And he was like, come on, come on, come on. It's a great gravel experience around here. So I said, okay. So I came down after breakfast one day, and he'd taken my road bike and put it to one side and said, we're going graveling today. So the YouTube
Damn.
channel is basically, come on, let's go. I kind of enjoyed it 100%.
It looked really nice. I mean,
It's
the
it's
routes you
amazing.
were on. Yeah.
So in Girona, so we were outside of actually main Girona in a place called Banyoles, and the routes are all beautiful gravel, because they're made predominantly by the farmers to ride their bikes backwards and forwards to the farms.
Oh,
Um,
really? Huh.
yeah, so there's a massive network of gravel, so it's an amazing place to do it. Um, and we went just a nice, easy ride that wasn't super technical, and it was just a bit of fun. And when I came back, Ed was like, "Are you going to sell the BMC and become a gravel rider?" And I was like,
No.
"No."
Nice try,
But
though.
that's but here's the thing. I think if I lived in Girona, I would do a bit more, because it's so easy to get out on beautiful gravel and just enjoy the experience. I was going to do that, but in where I live, it's more mountain bike territory. It's not gravel
Oh,
territory.
okay.
Yeah. So because where I live, it's very hilly. So you're either going up or down,
Right.
and so being a road cyclist it's a lot easier than it is to be a gravel rider around here.
Right.
So, but if I lived in Girona, which I'd love to do, I would definitely do a bit of that, because it's just
Yeah.
something different.
Definitely. But do you
Yeah.
find, because so I'm finding that a lot more of the endurance cycling events out here in North America are gravel based. Like
Yes.
because of where they are, the proximity, like where they're like the whole route is way more based on gravel roads, a little bit of road, unless they're like a charity ride and then they're like, their routes around the state or something. But do you
So
find
I
that
think
that's like if you're going to be doing your endurance rides, your endurance events, that you might find that some of them are going to be half gravel, half road,
yeah,
or
I think realistically, when you look at it in the UK, the gravel is depending on where you live, because it's such different terrain.
right?
But certainly from where I live, it's not such a big mecca for gravel riding. But if you go further up north, it is, and so I think predominantly for me, no. However, I think that's definitely becoming very trendy. So people are locking into that, and thinking, how can we make this accessible for everybody? And that can't
Right.
be, that's only a good thing for cycling in my book. It's like, get people on bikes.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. However,
Um,
and I'm like, there's really no excuse for anybody to not get on bikes these days because I'm like, e-bikes, that takes care of the rest of the population unless you can't, well, you have to afford them, but it's getting people on them.
well, yeah, but nobody can afford petrol right now, or gas.
Yeah.
So so they might as well buy a bike because it's cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the UK or even Europe and as in general is way more cycling oriented than North America here. We've
Uh-huh.
got our big trucks, our big cars, like, and
What's
yeah.
there's a good question. What's the traffic like with you? So is it pretty tough?
You know what? It really depends where you live. Coming off COVID, it doesn't seem very bad. A lot of people are still working at home, and a lot of people migrated to the country because they were working at home. So I personally, where I live in the country. I don't spend too much time going to the city, and when I do, it's kind of against traffic whenever I do. So I have not experienced a whole lot, but I hear it on the radio. There are some areas that are very like what way worse than others. So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I
Yeah. I mean,
do I
I'm
did
lucky.
love living in the city and commuting for sure. But
And again, I'm lucky. I live in the country, so I don't have so much
yeah,
stress and anger from car driving.
an
I'm
anchor.
just glad I don't live in a city.
Yeah, I'm kind of grateful we moved out here about 20 years ago. And it's been beautiful. So, but so Simon, where can everybody find you? Great
Well,
cycling coach that you are in the UK.
I've got my well, so I've got different channels. So I've got my website, which is veloperformance.club.
Hmm.
And then I'm on Instagram as Velo Performance. I'm on Facebook as Velo Performance, and I've got a YouTube channel which is Velo Performance. And
Very good.
it's very yeah. I managed to keep them all the same.
That is
Um,
very, that is nice. It's
yeah,
good when you can do that. I'm trying to do
yeah,
that in the process now, changing everything over to cycle fitness. I'm like cycling.
yeah. It's tough, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so people can find me on there and connect if they want to. The YouTube channel's like 2 years old, and I've just started to grow it over time. So it's very small, but it's tough to do a YouTube channel, and I quite enjoy it. I'm just learning the process of how to tell a story and how to make it interesting and a bit more fun. So sometimes I suck at that. Sometimes I'm okay at
Uh,
it.
well, maybe
But
you can give me a couple tips because I'm just like, here's fitness stuff, here's the podcast, and I try and get some cycling tips up there once in a while, but
Mhm.
it's so many different, stories, videos, posts. Oh, maybe you'll deal with a client once in a while, like when you have time.
I think with the social media stuff, I just try and have fun with it. You know,
Yeah.
yes, I try and I have mostly fun with it, but I also have posts where I'm doing educational pieces and things like that. So
Hmm.
there is a good blend of good quality information as well as having a bit of fun. But even the bit of fun is, educational. That's the whole idea of it. But if someone said to me a year ago, do reels every day, I'd have laughed at them and said no.
I know.
But now I do them because, like, well, look, here's the thing: if the kids can do them, I'm doing them.
Do you have kids?
No, but what I'm saying
Oh,
is, if the
they,
kids on YouTube can do them, or on Instagram can do them, and do them every day, and make them funny and interesting, I can learn from these guys and try and do the same sort of thing. And I've got a twin brother who has a wine merchant, and he's like blown away by how social media can really influence your marketplace. And he's like, well, I can't do that. I said, no, but the thing is, you can. Everybody can. They just need to get over their fear of looking old, bald, toothless, all that sort of stuff, and just do it.
I think you feel like I don't know. I'm gonna take some tips off of your page and maybe just copy you because I'm like, I
Crack on.
I just like get too serious. I'm like,
You've got to have some fun. I don't think that's the thing. So there's some
I
times
know
there is, yeah.
I'm fun outside, but I'm like, I get like, you just get like, so like, I want my message across, and you're like, I don't. But anyways,
I,
so
yeah. So yeah, the YouTube and stuff. So you can find me now.
well, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. I feel like you're like my brother from another mother in another country. 'Cause, no, I don't know. I love what you're doing because it's what I'm trying to emulate now. Um, but I start, like I I just made that decision when I turned 50. Not like the health part, but like the cycling endurance part. I've always been like, stay healthy, long term. This is what I'm looking for, working towards. This is why I do everything that I do and help people do that as the same. But yeah, so it's really cool to meet somebody who's doing the same thing. Like,
Well, thank you. It's been fun. I love doing the old podcast here and there because I don't have my own podcast. But it's just fun to talk to people and connect with people through social media and listen to what they're up to, and also you're doing things that other people are trying to emulate at the same time too. So you're showing people it can be done, which I think is fantastic. And the more it's cool, more people can do that, the better. You're showing 51-year-olds and older that it's possible to be fit, strong, and go and do stuff that they think is out of their reach because you're, which is great. Yeah.
Well, thank you. So with that, everyone, you can find Simon all over social media. As mentioned, everything will be in the show notes. You please follow our podcast at Secrets of the Saddle Podcast on Instagram and on the YouTube channel. And we have a newsletter that you can sign up for if you never want to miss an episode like Simon's, and get some extra cycling tips at the same time. So thank you so much, everyone. Have an amazing day. And thank you again, Simon. All right, gang, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Simon de Burgh from the UK. I can't believe I just had so much fun talking to him, and maybe it's just the UK mentality or personality, but as coaches, it was exciting to talk to another cycling coach that had the same mentality and mindset as myself. And, I wish Simon all the luck with his endeavors that he's working towards. And, if you're looking for a cycling coach to help you get over the hump, Simon sounds like an amazing person to be talking to, and he knows his stuff. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and make sure you're following and join our cycling newsletter. Link is in the description so you don't miss an episode, and also gaining some extra cycling tips from me. So with that, have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye. Let's not forget to thank Sarah Jansel, the Shopify Queen, for supporting the show. Remember to go visit Jansel&Co.com/services to contact Sarah about getting $150 off having your own Shopify store created. Or if you currently have one, have it revamped. Get your online store ready for the fall/Christmas season by automating your business and freeing up time. Check out Jansel & Co. Super excited? Please visit our new page at buymeacoffee.com/secret-saddle-pod. If you love what you're hearing, supporting the podcast with a purchase of a coffee would be greatly appreciated and helpful to keep the podcast going. Also, providing a separate rating and review and thoughts about the podcast are hugely helpful. Thank you very much, and have an amazing day. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast, learning more about citing people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful. Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, have an amazing day Make sure you ride your bike. And don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.